Hi, it's Kristen here. Welcome to another process video. Today I am working on day 13 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life. And I have some Shimelle paper picked out. So this is Live the Dream. And this is just kind of a really pretty, like almost ledger paper on like a wood grain background with some florals in it. And I'm going to be documenting some sassy pictures of my daughter. I end up double mounting it on white cardstock and then some pink floral paper behind it. Now the pink floral paper was part of, I don't know if that was paper pack or if that was like loose paper from Shimelle's that I had bought, because I bought her paper pad and then her project pad and then some like loose papers that weren't included in the paper pad. So my daughter was eating ice cream. This was, I'm wanting to say this was probably a year or so ago. So she was probably about 3 at the time. And she was just, I don't know. It was me and my husband having a conversation and talking to her. And she was just giving us some like looks, like, you know, like she reminded me of a teenager. Like she looked like a teenager. And so my husband was taking some of those photos of her making those faces. And I just had to get them documented. So, because they're hilarious. I'm like, this is going to be my future life here when she's old enough. A teenager. She's got an attitude like a teenager too. Anyways, I love her, but she can be tough sometimes. We call her Miss Sassafras. That's her nickname. So for a good reason. So the sketch shows one big picture, and I think it was like a 5x7, so that's what I've got printed up there with hers, as a 5x7, although I think I might have cut it down just a little bit. And then it's got 4 smaller pictures, I think technically like 2x2s, but I just kind of cut them all down to size, and they're not probably like true 2x2s. So, and then it shows them as kind of being kind of like, you know, almost in a wonky pattern, laying over top of part of the 5x7 photograph. So I was like, this is a perfect layout to get quite a few pictures documented. Sometimes I have a hard time, like, especially like if you're doing like a single page layout, like just picking, you know, a couple photographs, because I feel like a lot of time, like one page layouts, usually you can fit about, you know, unless you're doing like a whole page where you're not doing like a lot of like embellishing or anything like that. I feel like you can probably get about 4 pictures on there. But really that's what's so nice about these sketches. It kind of makes you think, like I would have never thought to lay out photographs in this way to get this many worked on a page, but then still have like the emphasis on one big picture. So it's just kind of an ingenious way to do it. So I decide for some of these photographs, I decided I want some of them popped up on foam and some of them set back a little bit further. So 2 of them I pop up on foam. Now this one, the reason why I'm taking some packaging and I cut it in half, because since my 5x7 photograph is mounted on a couple pieces of paper there, the picture that I had underneath the foam wasn't going to sit. It was going to be like not sitting correctly, like flat on the page. So I end up adding the packaging that obviously I wasn't going to use it. It was just going to be thrown away behind that photograph, just to give it a little bit more lift so that it kind of matched the level of, you know, the big photograph with the paper mounted behind it. Otherwise I would have had like a weird crease there. That's kind of a little bit of a trick to do, like if you need like a little lift but you don't want to use foam, because I feel like even when you get really thin foam, it's still typically a lot more of a lift than like if you just layered a couple pieces of paper behind it. So if you ever needed just like a little bit of a lift, that's the way to do it, is either, you know, use some of your old packaging and, you know, tape it to the back side of it, or you could use like, you know, even some of your scraps that you're, you know, there's not enough scraps to really use on anything. You could do it that way. So even if like you're somebody that likes the look of foam, you just don't want to, you know, spend the money on it, like you could always do that with some of your scraps or some of your unused packaging, and then, you know, kind of create your own foam. I mean, you don't have to have foam to lift your photographs up. So I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to alternate these pictures. I was trying to make sure, I wanted to make sure I wasn't covering up her face or anything. Since, the faces. If looks could kill, right? And she wasn't mad or anything. It's just, she was just making funny faces. It was like, whatever we were saying, it was kind of like she was perplexed by it, I guess. I don't know. She's funny. She's a handful. I love her. She's really can be very sweet, but she definitely has a teenager attitude for sure. So I'm still getting these photographs situated here. Make sure I'm not covering up the important part, which is her face. And then I'll start to pick out my ephemera pieces. So I initially pull out, this is Hip Kit Club, and I don't know what month this was, but I was thinking initially, since like it was 4 photographs, I was thinking about maybe taking these chipboard pieces and like putting 4 of them next to each picture. But then like when I pulled them, I was setting them down next to each photograph. See, so I did that there, and that was initially what I was thinking. I was like, I don't like that. So, and then I'm like, well, if I do this up here, it's going to cover up a lot of the floral up there. So I end up kind of scrapping that idea. And then I'm going to pull out the ephemera pieces that came with the Shimelle line. So this was obviously stuff I purchased separately. I'm just going to start working through it. Pull out this little camera. I thought that was cute. And this cluster of flowers is actually from Simple Stories, and it's their True Colors line, which was like, honestly, it reminds me, the colors of it reminds me that it would go really well with their Crafty Babe line, if you've ever seen like that new collection. So it's like really heavy Barbie theme, but like the floral collection, and this was like a lot of the pinks and teals and that. But I thought actually looked like it went really well with the Shimelle line. Like I feel like the flowers, like they looked similar enough, and none of the ephemera from Shimelle's had like any kind of like floral clusters, and I just felt like it would make sense to put some additional floral clusters around this the pictures. So I ended up picking out a couple of these floral clusters from Simple Stories. So those are Simple Stories. So this one's saying, like, a lot of time you can mix and match collections and get you don't always have to buy like a full collection of one thing. Oftentimes you've got other things in your arsenal that you could kind of pull out and use. And sometimes, it's overwhelming. Like for me, I have so much stuff that there's times where it's just easier to sit down and use everything out of the same collection. But I really wasn't seeing anything that really worked, that I had envisioned for this layout. I really like that tag there with the ice cream. I just felt like it was too big for that. It kind of took away from the picture. So I do end up pulling that off and going in a different direction with that. But I did like the look of that at first. And I thought, well, maybe I cut it in half? But I like the magic is in the little things. I like the little saying on it, so I don't want to lose that either. So I decided to just do something different. The stickers that you saw me kind of messing with there, that was some stickers that I purchased from Joann's, and that actually will be where my title comes from. So you'll see that come back into play here in a little bit. So that is Shimelle's project pad. And I was going through, there's a couple pages of stickers. So I was going through the stickers to see if there was anything I could use instead of that big, ice cream cone Polaroid that I initially had off to the side. And she actually had 2 little small Polaroid stickers in there. So I decided to stick them onto white cardstock, just so that way I could, mess with their positioning without them actually having to get stuck down the page. So I'm just getting these pieces stuck down on just plain white cardstock, and then I'll fussy cut them out. So I'm going to tuck this one up here, and I like that look a lot better. I don't feel like it's as big and bulky. I don't feel like it takes away from her pictures. So, and I decided I kind of want to do an alternating pattern with these Polaroid stickers. So that's why I switched the camera with the Polaroid with a flower in it. So. And I like that too because it pulls in the rainbow on this side, since I've got a rainbow up at the top there. Although that does get covered up, so you can't even really see the rainbow at the end of it. Sometimes, like, you know, you put stuff on here and then you add things. And the ice cream cone was one of those, the part of the papery pack, which is a lot thinner material. And so when I was going to put it on top of that Polaroid, like, you could really tell, like, it was, the ice cream cone was getting bent and not retaining its shape because it was a much thinner piece. So that's why I end up popping that up on cardstock as well, and then fussy cutting it out. So I'm just looking this over, making sure there's not any other ephemera or anything like that I want to put on it. I like how everything's looking, so I decided to go ahead and glue this floral cluster down here. And I'm going to glue this piece up here too as well. I'm trying to remember how I had it. Okay, now that I've gotten that all glued down, I'm going to finish gluing this stuff off to the left-hand side. Still making some, like, little minor adjustments. I usually will do that where I get everything down, and then kind of as I'm starting to glue it and adhere it down, I will make, like, little final adjustments on everything. So the chipboard, or the thickers that you saw, now these are chipboard stickers that came from that thicker set, and that was purchased from Joann's before they closed. And it says feisty, and it came with an ampersand, so feisty and fierce. So I was just trying to decide where I wanted it. I was going to put it down by the floral clusters, but then I felt like it kind of got lost there. And then this, I was trying to figure out how I wanted it arranged. Did I want it straight? Did I want it, you know, turned in one direction? And I kind of like it here, but then I realized, oh crap, the ampersand. So I do end up having to, and thankfully it wasn't like, these weren't super sticky. So, I mean, they stuck a little bit, but like I was able to shift everything. So you'll see that here in a minute. See, I was like, oh no, where am I going to put this? I don't have any room. I didn't want to, obviously, to move too far down onto hers. So I was like, well, it'll work best besides Feisty maybe. So I moved Feisty over. And then I realized like I can't make it work next to that. So I'm like, it's going to have to work next to the fierce part. So that's why the rainbow got completely covered up there, because initially it wasn't going to, but then because of the ampersand, I had to shift everything left. And the Feisty needed to shift because the and fierce was going to shift, and it would have looked funky if I didn't have it shifted over. So I don't know, maybe it would have worked, in a different spot on the layout, but that's just where it kind of made sense to me, so. I end up adding some glue to the back of it because, like I said, these I don't know how long these have been in their stock. So I feel like a lot of the stuff had probably sat there for a little bit, because I feel like unfortunately I feel like scrapbooking isn't like as popular as it used to be. I don't know if because some of it's like digital now. I feel like a lot of stores don't sell as much scrapbooking stuff as they used to. I mean, there's still some, but just not like, I don't feel like it's as much. And I feel like the stock doesn't, what they have in stock doesn't change as much. Like, so it's kind of very similar stuff all the time. So again, like, I don't know how long these stickers had sat there without being used. And then here are some close-ups. I think it turned out really cute. I'm really happy with it. The face, oh God. Oh, looks good, Gil. Anyways, here's some close-ups, and I thank you for coming by to watch another process video.